Well, the time is just gone 12 minutes past 8 as we kick off this morning, taking a look at the preliminary leaked report from the public protector, clearing the President Cyril Ramaphosa of any wrongdoing. And many are feeling aggrieved by this preliminary report. We must add that it is preliminary at this point in time. It's not a final report, but I'm not too sure whether we can expect a different outcome when the final report is released. And to unpack what this means, we joined this morning by Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who is a political analyst. Dr. Breakfast, good morning to you, sir. And as always, we appreciate your time with us here on Salam Media.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, well, it's clear that looking at the or the acting public protector, or taken almost 9 months to produce this report. I believe 190 pages, and there are many that are saying that this was a process that had been stalled intentionally for a long time. But we've seen reaction already starting to come through. We've seen opposition parties expressing their disappointment by this report, and also at the same time looking at the president who has been cleared of any wrongdoing. Just your reading into what has evolved over the last few days since we've learned about this report.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's still early days at the moment to make a call whether the president is off the hook or not, largely because this matter is still playing itself out in the legal space, and the outcome can go either way. Remember, there is a long-standing argument whether the findings of the public protector are binding or not. So my view is that the outcome of the judiciary is more credible than the findings of the public protector. And I can bet my bottom dollar other political parties might take those findings, in as much as the report is a preliminary, they might take the findings on review, and it is within their right to do that if they want to do so. But it's quite interesting, though, that the findings of the public protector, if you juxtapose them with the section, I think, 89 independent panel, they don't speak the same language. They are contradictory. So one wonders, whether they not look at the same evidence. What makes them to contradict each other?
Yes. Now, there are two issues here, Dr. Breakfast, that, when one looks at this report, firstly, one needs to look at it in the context of contravention of regulations, contravention of the law. Has the president done? And we know there's been a lot of talk about foreign currency coming into the country, floating Reserve Bank, looking at SARS, and also, the laws are clear. The laws are clear. Anybody bringing in foreign currency into the country within 30 days, you need to report. Now, this wasn't done by the president. And then at the same time, the other issue was regard to the theft that the president had spoken about. This was a matter that was reported to his own presidential security and not to the Hawks. Now, these are issues that stand out, but also at the same time, the third issue is with regard to the conflict of interest that the president may be having at this point in time.
Yeah, so there are two issues at play here. First of all, the issue of confirmation of the transaction was done by the, SARS. So that issue is out of the way, that a transaction took place and the president was cleared in terms of complying with the tax laws of the country. The only blow that he suffered from was the fact that the person who bought the buffalo did not comply with the tax regulations of the country. The other issue is that, it's quite interesting that there's a common denominator between this report of the public protector and the one of Gandla. I don't know whether this is a trend or what, because there seems to be a tendency to divert our attention from the people who might have been at fault to, other people who are made to take the fall. For instance, during the time of Jacob Zuma, the person who was seen to be problematic or to be at fault is the guy who, increased the price of the project. And then in this regard, also the person who is seen to be at fault is the head of security. I forgot his name, the major general. So that seems to be an interesting phenomenon, in my view, that the person who owns the house is exonerated, but the person who seems to be at fault is someone who is the head of the security. And the president also was seen as someone who doesn't have a conflict of interest, even though there is a provision in the constitution in that regard, that he's not involved in the daily running of the business.
When one looks at the reaction of the opposition parties, they seem to be extremely disappointed. And, obviously they are looking at other options, possibly looking at Parliament itself as an option. And just in terms of their justification for the disappointment that they have expressed, Dr. Breakfast.
Look, the role of opposition parties is to hold the government of the day accountable. So you cannot blame them entirely. But at the same time, this issue has been used as a political football, especially in the build-up to the Nazareth conference of the ANC. I think they might have jumped the gun, though, by drawing a premature conclusion. But of course, I mean, they were within their right to take a swipe at government when the ANC did not vote for the adoption of the report of Section 89. But as I indicated, I mean, it's still early days, there are many possibilities here. It's going to be interesting how this issue is going to play itself out in the legal sphere.
Yes, but also I think the key issue here is time is of the essence, and we've seen the public protector taking 9 months to come up with this preliminary report. And in the build-up to the elections from now until 2024, can we afford another 9 months?
Oh, but look, I mean, there have been a number of developments. I mean, you know that the other public protector is on a suspension. She's fighting for a job. And it would be interesting if she was holding on to that position in terms of what kind of findings she was going to arrive at. But of course, this one came into the picture, I think, at the 11th hour, so no wonder I think it took a bit longer than it would have taken. Yes, this issue is a matter of national concern, because, I mean, the role of the president, among other things, is to defend and protect the constitution. So, I mean, the president has to be cleared on this matter, or we want closure on this issue, because we can't afford to have a president who was having a dark cloud hanging over himself.
Well, let's see what develops, Dr. Breakfast. But as always, we do appreciate you taking time out and
Thank you very much.
being with us here on Salam Media. All the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast was this morning, political analyst against the leaked preliminary report on Phala Phala.
Rejuvenate.